I thought, like, I don't think there's much more to say on Epstein, but this kind of ties into what I wanted to talk about with Latham, right?
Right.
Because I see the overall sentiment, and I am generalizing, but the overall sentiment...
Give me a rundown on what's going on, because I'm not sure that I'm even across it.
Okay. The overall sentiment is that our politicians should be making better policies.
Yes.
And should be doing things differently and should be held to a higher standard. But then you get something like this story, which I'll explain in a second, that gives you a window into just how fucked up their own lives are.
Right.
And, like, these are the people we're electing. We want them to be this sort of, like, bastion of principle and values and morality, yet we see what they're like.
Right.
How can you expect someone who's like that in their own personal life to then go and make policies that are all for us as a collective to, excel?
Bring me up to speed, because I've already got quite a different view to that.
Okay, so Mark Latham, I've actually got the Herald Sun's rundown on this because they did like a timeline of him. So where are we? Can I read out his text on this? I mean, I don't see why not.
I mean, basically, what he was having an affair?
No, he wasn't having an affair. So he was, let me pull up the article for you so you can read. He was in a relationship with this woman.
Sure.
What's her name? I'm so sorry. Nathalie May Matthews. So they were together for 2 years, but she has now accused him of degrading sexual acts, an alleged abusive behaviour and domestic violence.
Right.
So this is all coming out, and now there's been a leak of the text messages. So he said he warned he had scores of documents disproving her allegations of abuse. Yep. Multiple intimate text messages have been leaked to the media. Now, without getting too into it, she's basically accused him of defecating on her and not allowing her to wash, calling him master and all sorts of stuff. And now, look, I'm not going to sit here and sort of weigh in on the way people do things in their private lives. But when you see the language, this man's 64. This is like talking about your dad having sex. It makes me so uncomfortable. But he's basically saying, like, as the old saying goes, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. He's basically saying she's making it up.
Right.
And then you read the text messages between the two. So obviously the grey here is Latham.
Yeah.
Master's cock needs relief too. I'm very hard thinking about you. I'm sorry, but reading someone else's sexting conversation just fills me with ick.
Sure.
Like, again, in context, if you're in love with this person, it might be better received. But reading it, like, outside of this...
It depends so much on the dynamic of what's going on inside the
100%.
relationship. I've never sent a text like that. I've never received a text like that. Would I be happy to receive a really grotty, filthy text from my wife? Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. That'd be no problem. And I'll respond in kind.
I'm dying. I don't want to know about it.
But you can't. No, honestly. So the thing that you said earlier was, we want these people to write better policy, and we want these people to sort of have these moral standards. Blah blah blah. Those are two separate things. And I think one of the mistakes that we make is when someone can convince us that he's a wonderful family man.
Yeah.
Therefore he's going to make good policy. Well, no. One does not follow the other. The guy could be an absolute rolled gold idiot. He could be an agrarian socialist. He could be going to run the country into the ground. But because he has kids that know how to smile on stage, we assume that therefore means they're going to make a great leader, a great politician. We've actually got to separate those two things. I think one of the mistakes that we've made is thinking that what we need to do is find people with greater virtue and put them in those positions. No. What I think we need to do is just find the people that have nothing left to hide. Find the people that have already been raked over the coals. Find the people that, they're disgusting, but we know that's the devil we know. Yeah. Because I'm sick and tired of this. So like Trump? Well, yeah, in a way. I'm sick and tired of this roller coaster of, we found this amazing person, we're going to put them up into this position. And then, of course, people go hunting through their background and people come out with accusations, maybe true, maybe false, I don't know. And we go, oh, no, that person's not who I thought they were. Oh, dear. Well, let's just grab the person that's already been destroyed. Yeah. Let's go and find Wayne Carey. Yeah. Okay? And let's go, hey, listen, what would you push through as a policy? Would you know anything more about how to run the country? Because he's already been ripped through the coals. We already know, all of that background. We already know that about him. I'm tired of this assumption that people make that, this person seems really nice and virtuous, therefore they're going to have good policies. No, I don't have to live with them. I don't have to like them. I'm never even going to have a barbecue with them. I just want them to make good policies that get the government out of my life.
Yeah. I think this sort of ties into what we were talking about on Monday as well when we were talking about meritocracy and mediocrity, because a lot of these politicians are just mediocre people.
Yeah.
They're poorly developed when it comes to emotional intelligence. They're poorly developed intellectually.
Yep.
Clearly, they've been sheltered because they've been in the public service a long time.
Yep.
And they're also like basically catatonic to the real world because they exist in this like microcosm of politics.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not the real world.
Yep.
But I just thought this was really interesting because now, it's a big scandal. Like, apparently he's had lots of scandals. This article, I've got the app on my phone, and the app article is totally different to this one. So let me just pull this up. But they were talking.
He's had a lot of scandals over the years, yeah.
Yeah.
Messy personal life, messy political life.
Yeah.
Substance abuse at times.
Violent.
Yep. He can be explosive temper.
Yeah. So he's smashed cameras from paparazzi
Yep.
or like journalists, sorry.
So some time ago, he came to a conference that I was at, and the word was put out that he was looking for someone who was savvy with social media, who could do camera work and editing and do his social media for him. This might have been at the time when he was working with One Nation. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember that particular detail. And I went and had a chat with him thinking that I wanted to throw my hat in the ring and try and maybe pick up that gig because I could have used the income. And then after watching him over the 2 days of the conference and having not even a 6 or 7 minute chat with him, I just went, actually, yeah, and you know what? I'm going to let someone else have that privilege.
Yeah, okay.
Now, that says nothing to the actual accusations that are being made against him here. I'm not commenting on that at all. But he's not the nicest person in the world. He's not the most congenial person in the world. But this is why, I dedicated an entire chapter in my book in defense of assholes. Do you want someone who's going to, like, if you're electing a politician who's going to stand for something, the nice guy probably doesn't have what it takes to cop all the slings and arrows that are going to come the other way.
Can I push back on that just a bit?
Yeah.
I think if you are definitively an asshole and someone who across lots of sections of life is an asshole, then no, categorically no, I don't think you're right. What I like is that you have been an asshole and realised that potentially where you've misstepped and you have learnt from that and grown. Doesn't mean that you don't make mistakes. Like this, I think there's a separation here. I'm deemed an asshole because I'm very disagreeable. So, if you look in Jordan Peterson's scale of all that, I'm very disagreeable. So people go, oh, God, she's difficult.
Yeah.
So therefore I'm an asshole. Well, no, my actions aren't asshole-like. You're just deeming me to be that because I'm not, basically complying with what you expect.
The trouble is that almost every single hero from history would fail any kind of asshole test that we would apply to them today, from having affairs and children to mistresses, to owning slaves, to potentially raping slaves in the case of Washington. So many people throughout history from all walks of life would instantly fail the asshole test.
But that's also a big problem that sets everyone up to fail, is that we are trying to judge people from previous times by today's standards.
Sure. But if you'd walked down the street during, Victorian times were a bit salacious, but there are times in history in the US and in the UK where even by the standards of their time, they were assholes. They would have instantly failed any morality test. And yet these are the people, and so people that are tearing down statues and saying, oh, this person isn't who you think they are. I don't think we should tear down the statues, but there's actually truth to what they're saying. They're not wrong.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
These people failed in all kinds of horrific and horrible ways. But the point that I make in my chapter about In Defense of Assholes is that the person who is out there in one way is the person who's going to be willing to be out there in another. So I would actually directly disagree with your contention. I would actually say the person who has failed in all these other ways and has copped the slings and arrows and has been willing to be different and be an asshole. And I use the example of Ignaz Semmelweis, the man who first discovered rediscovered hand washing. It's something that was known in antiquity, but we forgot about it. He was an asshole in every way, politically, in his personal life, as an individual, just to actually deal with, and his work. Nobody liked him. He ended up dying in an insane asylum because they just literally wanted to get rid of him. They tricked him into walking into an insane asylum to go and treat a patient, and they locked him in.
Yeah, okay.
And he died in there only a couple of weeks later because they beat him up, and he died of an infection, which is ironic given that infections was what he'd figured out how to largely reduce. This was a deeply, deeply, deeply unpleasant man. And because he was a deeply unpleasant man, we ignored him. and we never should have. Another example I give is the example of Claudette Colvin. Now, she was Rosa Parks before Rosa Parks was Rosa Parks. She was the first person to refuse to move to the back of the bus, and she did it 9 months before Rosa did, and Rosa actually credits Claudette with the idea. The reason why we know Rosa Parks and we don't know Claudette Colvin is because Claudette Colvin was also soon afterwards pregnant out of wedlock as a 15-year-old black girl in the South.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Now, I put it to you that the psychological predisposition that made her the person willing to be arrested, criticized, railed upon, blah, 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 is the exact same psychological predisposition that made her more liable to step outside all of the other social norms and go and get knocked up at 15 years of age as a single black girl in the Deep South. I put it to you that one of those things comes with the other, and that almost always when we go looking for a hero, what we actually need to be looking for is an asshole.
Well, here you are again. Thank you so much for watching the Oddcast. You've just seen a clip from the wonderful Carly and myself. Am I wonderful? No, but Carly is. And between us, we make a good team. So head on over to the Oddcast HQ on YouTube and watch our full episodes over there. See you there.